Good evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you guys are. Today we will be talking about rhizomes. As you can see, there's some pretty dang healthy rhizomes we're dealing with. I am a 6-foot man, so I got a pretty good sized hand. So for that to be as thick as my thumb, that's pretty impressive. So a lot of folks like to think that once you start seeing these shoots come up, you can't really access the plant. Well, at this point, probably up to a foot you can. After that, I'd recommend going off of cloners. That's a great cloner. Watch for the next video for that. That'll be coming up after this. And, when you're dealing with rhizomes, rhizomes are a little powerhouse. They are an underground branch, not a root. So what they do is they will go ahead and they will store energy, glucose in their cellular membranes to be able to uptake, whether it be drought, anything like that. Other products or plants are rhizomatic, much like this clover we're looking at right here. This is a rhizomatic product. Even though people use it for nitrogen, it is a pain in the ass to get the fuck rid of. So, excuse my language. But it won't go away. It's like the herpes. So, with rhizomes, there's a few different options. This is the first beginning of your money of the year. And, when you're doing hops, for instance, a 5-inch length all the way up to a 7th-inch length, it's usually around like $5 to $10. So we're probably looking at about maybe $150 just sitting on the floor right here that I just clipped off. And this was just cleaning up that one corner. I still have all this berm and a lot that hasn't came up here yet. I was doing some stringing and I just decided, well, I guess I'm gonna have to yank some before they start clustering up too thick like that, which they will. And if you don't know how to control them, they will get out of hand and choke each other. So you really got to be good at what you're doing whenever you let them get to this point. My company does a very specific way of doing hops compared to almost every other company. So we're pretty impressed. Our yields are very, very outstanding, which is great on our end. That's very impressive for any hop company to be able to pull off such small property. So we're very proud of ourselves and what we do. So maybe, looking at this and listening to a little bit of the info I give you might help you. So for a clean, good rhizome, that's what we're looking for. Good bark. You can see how it's not all blackened out. It's not soft. Whenever they're soft and soggy, they're not good anymore. Or if they start getting like a flex to them, I wouldn't recommend it. That means it sat in the cold over the winter and it was exposed, or it got overwatered, or the cells have dilapidated and they are becoming inute to the situation of trying to regrow. So each one of these will produce one hop bine. Instead of vine, it is a bine. It grows very sharp, coarse hairs to grab onto different things. And a vine does different. What it does is it wraps up and holds and clings. These just kind of stick to whatever. If you rub yourself with one of these, they will give you a nasty burn. Almost like... there's a lot of... I can't think of a plant to describe it. And you will get broken shoots like this one right here. So this is your second part of money out of rhizomes. So those broken shoots right there, don't fret. Chuck them in a pile. Start building them up. And eventually, after you've gone through like several crowns, you'll end up with a pretty decent pile. Almost a pound, maybe even a kilo. They range depending on where you're at and how fine the chef is and how smart the chef is that you're dealing with. If they understand the concept of the product and everything, this is probably one of the most expensive shoot products to buy, honestly, on the market. It's pretty up there. I do believe for like a kilo, it's up at like $1,000 or $2,000. So it's pretty damn expensive. So, and that's due to the fact that you don't want to go ahead and lose too many of these shoots you're costing your farm. Instead of producing fine quality hops that you really want, you ended up just trying to like produce a bunch of shoots, and then you got stingy and you just made one small bundle of money. So that's just kind of like the offshoot of the waste, or if you decide that you want to remove some of these shoots off of it when planting. If you're, kind of scared about running more than, a bundle like this and you still have all this cluster, you could remove off of this, and next year this will progress, and then it'll go ahead and get bigger as the crown develops. Hops are much like roses. They creep, they crawl, and then they run. So, you know, there's a 3-year basis on it. You better be ready for investment. So what happens is say, for instance, like if you buy a product off of, you know, a hop company, and it's a pre-grown plant, and which I like those because, you know, you're guaranteed a plant. Usually they're pulled from really clean material, and there's a guy who has to go through and inspect everything. We do the same thing here, and we make sure that they are visually inspected for, you know, no bugs, different types of burn if they're getting rust, powdery mildew, anything like that, susceptibilities. Usually that's stock you don't want to release out into the public. But then again, when you buy whole plants, you want to make sure that you unbundle them. This is a rhizome. She went about 3 years for me. What size of that thing? This was my Kraken Columbus. Very cool breed. She ended up getting the rot, like I told you. This is what you see on natural neos out in the wild. And you will actually find a sector that is still alive, that still has good cellular product on it, which you could cut off and restart the whole product again. But as you see, she ain't good no more. And I don't really want to go ahead and redo it again. Something burrowed in there, as if we are looking at. Probably some form of, I get these weird little bugs. I can't think of the dang name of it, but it's, they almost look like a, the heck are they? A mealworm. But then whenever they get bigger, they end up getting these crazy little teeth. So they end up doing some pretty nasty, gnarly damage. And you can see how this root was still alive. It was still trying to survive. Usually a hop will kill off one section and start to produce along to another section, much like this live shoot here. And, you know, another factor could have been, you know, like I said, rhizomatic materials that are around it. This is a form of weed. This is silver bindweed. And this stuff, let me tell you, for a skinny little rhizome, can produce a big little horrid little plant that'll choke out anything. As you can see, it's already spreading right through that piece of wood. So, nasty shit. But the Kraken did do well. But this is what I mean if they end up getting too wet, messed up. This one, now that I'm looking more at it, I could tell that bindweed grew into it and just kind of choked her out at the root system. So these are factors you want to look at whenever you're dealing with, like, opening up a section like this to the crown. And from there, you start to notice the invasiveness of other weeds that are starting to form in it, which is a big pre-measure for winter. You really want to go through, sift around your bunches, because then you'll end up with stuff like this if you don't. And then during the spring, everything will take off, and then you will see this big, beautiful plant of yours go and then choke. So, no bueno. As we can see, here's another part of that rhizome. You see it just got real nasty. So whenever your rhizomes get to this point, it's bad. There's nothing left in it. And that just tells me that it depleted its system and to replace it with something else. So I will sip this soil, take out all this weed matter that ended up causing this problem. That way the next plant that comes in will not get infected the same way, like by these. And you'll see you still end up with cuts of clean material, which really, this is a taproot, but if you left it for a year, this taproot would end up ending up producing shoots. Surprising. First it'll create its microbial web, and then its webbing of its rooting system. And from its rooting system, it will start feeding off the microbial webbing that happens around it, which is active ingredients. Soil. And from there, you end up with stellar product like this. So I hope some of this was useful to you folks, and maybe, you know, if there's any questions, anything you want to learn, please contact us and we will get to you. Have a wonderful day.